Hey guys, welcome to episode 4 of The Argument with Toddy One Skip. I'm Toddy One Skip, and I thank you so much for coming over here, showing this channel some love. I truly, truly do appreciate it. Guys, this week I'm really excited because I'm talking to 1980 millennial who's a friend of mine who we've met over in the Gypsy verse, but she's multi-talented. She does these great videos. Yes, there's some about Gypsy. She reads FOIAs. She's a factual channel as well as a little snark. She's got a great little laugh, and that makes her her. So she also has a channel called Millennial at Midnight. She's totally talented painter. She's a storyteller. She handles true crime, anything that matters to her, and with a little bit of snark. So guys, we're talking episode about Gypsy Rose Blanchard, but not just about Gypsy, about people that commit crimes against children and family members. Should they be fixed upon release if they're to get out of prison? Should it be a stipulation with their parole? Guys, join us and thank you. Thank you so much. Let's get into it. So, I'm glad that you're on the channel. Thank you for coming on the new channel, The Argument.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And I appreciate it. And I love that your channel is kicking off with the gypsy stuff and everything that's going on over there. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for exposing her for who she is, you
Yeah,
know.
it's important that people are aware that she's out in the public trying to influence children.
And influence anybody. And all
Yeah.
you have to be is a weak individual.
Yep, for
You
sure.
know what I mean? That's all you have to be is somebody ready for the picking. Even a vulnerable moment. You know what I
Yeah, the
mean?
vulnerable are who she likes to target, it seems.
Exactly, exactly. And you could just be vulnerable for a moment and somebody take advantage of that. So that's a horrible, horrible situation.
Definitely.
Now, you feel that you feel that this argument basically is about, I would assume it's about women that commit horrible crimes. It's not because of Gypsy's micro deletion that you think that Gypsy
And not
should.
just women, men too. I believe anyone who commits premeditated patricide, matricide, or filicide, murder of a father, mother, or child, if they are going to be paroled back into society after a prison term, if it's not going to be life, or the death penalty or anything like that, I feel that their ability to create another immediate family member should be taken through forced sterilization. And that's not something that's not already happening in other situations. Louisiana, for instance, is now chemically castrating pedophiles as a condition of early release if they want to take it.
What if they just want to do their full term?
Yeah, if they want to stay in prison, I don't care.
So, I mean, like, in other words, to get out, but you said early release. Unfortunately, you
Yeah,
know,
even with full term for the murder situation that I'm talking about. Yeah, and if they want to be paroled, I think that that would be a good condition to have. It's not anything on the books currently. I just think it would be a good idea personally.
it would definitely make those people stop and think before they acted, wouldn't it?
I feel like it would. A lot of people who go to prison for murder and don't get life plan on, just like Gypsy Rose did, start planning their family from the inside. And it just seems very wrong to me to be able to premeditatively take an immediate family member through first or second degree murder and then be released with the ability to create another immediate family member independent too.
Right. And somebody vulnerable. Again,
Yes.
another
Mhm.
vulnerable, very, very vulnerable. So it's not
Absolutely.
enough that you think that, um, or adoption either. They just cannot be. So how would it be if, how would it be if that person was to get out and uh they shouldn't be a step parent? How does that work? Like, how would that look if it was like a parent situation or something?
Yeah, I never thought about that too hard, honestly. I'm not sure how that would work. I don't think it's a good idea. Don't think it's ideal. I'm not sure how that could be policed though.
Yeah, I don't know how that would be,
Right.
yeah, policed either,
Well, I
but
guess I
I
mean, I guess it could be policed in the same manner as, people who aren't allowed to be
to be
within so
around
many feet of
children.
children, you know?
Right, 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 right. And then that totally dictates their whole life to them because now they'd have to be involved with somebody who didn't have kids and or
Yeah,
would never want children,
right.
which really,
And I don't think that's that bad of an idea for, releasing murderers into society. I'd rather they just weren't released into society, to be honest.
yeah, I did a whole thing with Rebecca Mitchell. I don't know if you saw that, but basically it was an eye for an eye. And Rebecca
Yeah.
thinks that if you unalive somebody the same way that they were unalived is the way that they should be. And it should be the victim's family that that does it if they want to
I've heard her
do
say
it.
that before, yeah. I can
Yeah.
understand her feeling that way as a family member of a murder victim.
Yeah, absolutely, especially a young child, especially a
Yes.
young child. But
Yeah.
imagine if that were to happen, if we really were to crack down and make this a bar, so it wouldn't just be, obviously, it wouldn't just be somebody who unalived. So would it be anybody that unalived anybody, or would it just be people that unalived their family members?
Yeah, I feel like matricide, patricide, filicide, immediate family is it's considered very different whenever it comes to murder in a lot of situations, in a lot of contexts, because it's so rare and so
It's
heinous.
not so rare anymore, 1980 millennial,
Not anymore,
unfortunately.
no, it's
It is
the statistics are
atrocious.
going up.
Oh my gosh, I just saw something on Nancy Grace today where unbelievable. I guess she was showing the guy who unalived his 3 sons, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Those
yeah.
3 little boys,
Mhm.
and I mean, the guy was a broken guy. He didn't seem happy about doing that, you know what I'm saying? There was something so mentally, I don't know what's going on, but I think honestly, and I listen, I this is just me talking now, but I'd like to leave it on. But what I'm saying, I guess, is that it is such a bigger picture than just um having people not being able to have kids because then you think about it, if somebody wants something bad enough 1980 they're going to go after it, you know what I mean, like, so if they don't have their own kids, and not that they should be doing that to their own kids, it's not going to stop them from being bad behaving to other kids, because very few times do they ever get it right. I think when something is that broken in somebody, I'm not sure it could be repaired. That was something that I spoke to Rebecca Mitchell about. What's your feeling about that? Well, if you could hurt or kill somebody and just go and have pizza, you know what I mean? Like, or brownie or anything, and just not feel like, oh my God, like, what about the family members? Like, oh my God, that person's not breathing anymore. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't have that, do you think that that could be taught, or do you think it's something that you're born with?
Yeah, I think for the most part, anyone who can do murder and they're not doing it in self-defense, is and premeditate it, especially over a length of time. And then, like you said, just act normal afterwards. Like what we saw reading Gypsy and Nick's text, how Gypsy was nervous before the murder and then calm after. Like, so weird. Um, I
And Nick
don't
was, in
know.
all fairness to Nick, I mean, like,
He seemed like he didn't get the gravity until it happened, and then he was upset after.
not only that, but for some weird reason, like, didn't she, like, she told him stories, as we know, she told him stories about her mom that were untrue. And then after he unalives her, she starts telling him good stories about her mom.
Yeah,
Seriously, like, we know that.
right.
Is that just a mind fuck, do you think, or what?
It certainly seems that way, yeah, and I'm not sure a mind that likes to do stuff like that can be fixed. They say there are types of people, I can't remember, one of the terms that end with path, I can't remember if it's psychopath,
Psychopath
sociopath, or
or
what
sociopath, yeah.
one of them. But
Mm.
where experts say that those types of people aren't really helped by therapy, they just learn in therapy what to say to disguise their behaviors better.
Well, it's just like a habitual criminal. If they're
Yeah.
determined, then they're not going in there because here's the thing, you could go into prison and keep to yourself and start reading the Bible if you wanted to and change your life around, or you could go in there and learn from the inmates and try to be a better criminal when you get out. It's as easy as that.
Yeah.
That's the choice that you have when you're in there. It really does all depend on you. But get back to our topic. So now, how is your feeling about if somebody sexually assaults somebody and it's proven, and it's unfortunate now because we know that these people can get out in 10, even 5 years, and they've done no rehabilitation. They sat in a fucking jail cell. Do you
Yeah.
think that those people should be fixed as well? You know what I'm saying? As far as like, should they
Yeah,
be
I'm okay with the Louisiana law that I think that it would be fine for other states if the states wanted to implement them.
I think that it should be a blanket if it's without a doubt that somebody has not been able to control their urges and it becomes a violent act, even just an act that was that had plenty of opportunity to hear the word stop several times. You know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
at that point, still, it would still have to maybe not be so violent. But if somebody doesn't want something, then that's what it becomes, more or less, or unwanted, regardless of what it is. I think
Yeah,
if it
the
Go ahead,
only
I'm sorry.
concern with these harsh punishments is that the crime is definitely proven. Like
Exactly.
that's my feeling with the death penalty as well. I'm not against death for certain heinous crimes, but I there have been instances where people have been in prison for decades because they were found, absolutely guilty by a jury of their peer, and then an advance in DNA or something like that proves them
Show something
innocent.
different. Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
So it
And
just
there have
I'm
been people that have died. We know this.
yes, and
There's
then found
been
out after,
Yeah, and exactly, exactly.
exonerated after. So I am okay with some very harsh punishments for very heinous crimes, but I also want to be very clear and sure in those instances that there is zero doubt that the person's guilty.
Yeah, so that's gonna be a lot more harder to prove, in my opinion, as we get more technologically advanced with this AI shit and
Well, I
how that's
mean,
going to look.
I don't think AI can replicate DNA or anything
Okay,
like
but here's
that,
the
so
thing. Well, but here's the problem. And we know this because we're actually in the business of it. Um, Public opinion, the the um the verdict of public opinion is something that is very, very dangerous, as you know.
Mhm,
So even if you put up, I refer to this all the time, so I'm just going to refer to it again because it's a perfect example. When somebody sent me that picture of the two men having sex,
mhm.
it looked like Ken. It did. It looked like Ken. I could have put that up and everybody would have said, "Oh my god, look, that's Ken." But I thought to myself, I don't first of all, I'm not gonna put it up. I would never put it up. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I don't care.
Right.
Even if it was Ken, I wasn't gonna put it up. I might say for sure he's gay, you know what I'm saying? But
Right.
I wouldn't have put it up. But the thing is that when I looked at his shin, right, there was a tattoo on this guy's shin. And it was something obviously that the guy that sent it to me didn't realize. Like he didn't realize it, or he knew, but he didn't notice it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I noticed it, and then I'm looking at all these pictures of Ken, and I'm like, yeah, no, like this guy doesn't have a fucking tattoo. So at least not there. So I
Yeah.
wrote, the guy was like, when are you going to put that up? And I was like, well, I'm not going to put it up. And I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to put it up. And I wrote, clearly, um, Ken doesn't have a tattoo. Well, the guy turns around and says, well, he didn't have one at that time. I said, yeah, he had one in the picture. He doesn't have one. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so, but the thing is, had I have put that up, had I been a person that to put that up, do you know how many people would have really been convinced that that was Ken? So by public opinion, this man would have been found guilty and he wasn't. And that's just as dangerous because when when people are shown to a point, and I'm going to use my own experience. I've been having difficulties online on my other channel, that, and it doesn't matter what I prove, people are going to see what they're going to see. As soon as there's smoke, they're convinced that there's fire and you caused it. That's what they're so the verdict of public opinion is something that I think we definitely have to be concerned with. Look at what happened to Richard Allen. Like, I don't think Richard Allen from the Delphi case with the little girls on the bridge, I don't think he's the one that committed that crime. And a lot of people don't think he's the one that committed that crime. But we have public opinion has decided that he's committed that crime. And I think that that had something to do with the fact that he was committed, that, he was guilty of this. I also think that, I'm unsure about the Kohlberger. If he did it, I don't think he did it by himself. The Kohlberger,
I
Brian.
think Koberger's guilty, but I don't know about the Delphi case. I haven't done research, so I don't
Okay.
wanna speak on that one because, like you said, public opinion's really important. I try
That's
to
the
be
thing,
really
right?
accurate with my words.
Exactly. So even before there was any kind of evidence per se that we knew about with Brian, right? With Brian Koberger, the Idaho 4 case, when you go, Nancy Grace is a perfect example. She's as soon as everybody's guilty, like everybody is guilty that she covers, and she just got the story. Well, how do you know everybody is guilty? Not everybody is guilty. So that's what I mean by with AI and with the public opinion, and that is going to, I think that is going to matter. I think it is going to play on
Yeah, I can see that.
things. And also, you could start looking up somebody's start harassing somebody. Police could start because they have, a fake ring cam and stuff like that, to, what I mean, just to throw people off before there's even actual DNA. And sometimes there's not DNA. And then you have AI. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah.
that's friggin' scary. That is really scary. I would assume that for every technology that they have with AI, that there is some way for them to determine this is AI. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's got to be
Yeah.
something that scrutinizes the videos to show, oh yes, this has been manipulated, kind of like a photograph. Yes, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, God, I hope so, or we're in trouble for
Some metadata.
what's that?
Some kind of metadata on the file to show that it's how it was generated.
Yeah, yeah, that's, but it's still scary as hell. So you would have a condition of Gypsy ever getting out would have been, and this is not, this isn't really about Gypsy per se. This is somebody who committed matricide.
Matricide,
Uh,
patricide, or
right,
filicide. Yep.
right, right.
Man or woman.
But the reason
If
why we're talking about it, that I'm using Gypsy, is because she did commit
yeah.
matricide. Okay,
Yep.
so you would have her had her tubes tied against her will, obviously, and a condition. Actually,
I
you
mean,
can
not
have your
really
tubes
against her will
untied.
because
Well, it would have been if she wanted to get out. It was
yes.
tubes tied, get out. Take your
Yeah.
pick. Do you think
Yep.
that? So let me ask, and this isn't, man, I'm not an idiot when it comes to Gypsy, as you know. This is for the sake of the show, the argument. Why do you think that Gypsy can't be a mom because she killed her why do you think she can't be a mom because she unalived her mom, or had her mom unalived at the very least?
I think she's dangerous. I think that the premeditation of the way that she did it and doing it for inconvenience and pleading ignorance the way she did. And I am someone who does believe that elements of Gypsy Rose's upbringing were abusive. I just don't believe that the medical abuse that is the reason for the plea deal that she got actually happened. So, a lot of people in those situations find ways out without resorting to murder, and Gypsy certainly had those options. So, I see her as a very unsafe person who shouldn't have gotten the plea deal in the first place. And being allowed to get out and immediately create another immediate family member after doing that sort of crime to me is just extremely dangerous, although it happens all the time.
So let me ask you this. So do you think that that's the only type of person that's in danger with her is just family members?
No, I just think that, a vulnerable child and the ability to create a new family member should be taken away as part of the punishment if they're going to be allowed out into society.
So what about somebody that, somebody like Stefan Stearns who will never get out. So let's not use him as an example. But
Ugh.
somebody who well, okay. What about like Nick? What if Nick were to get out? Should Nick be able to have a family? Is it just because she was able to do it to a family member that you think she's able to do it to another family member? Like, why?
Yeah.
So, okay. So, in other words, if somebody went into prison and because they unalived even a child, I guess they're not getting out anyway. They're not getting out anyway. Gypsy shouldn't have gotten out anyway. Let me ask you this. So, what about somebody like Mary Lynn? How do you pronounce her? The school teacher, the one that was convicted of RAPE, or at least no, I think that's what she was convicted of, the boy Philly,
Ugh.
the school teacher. You know who I'm talking about?
No, I don't. But I don't think anyone who raised children should get out of prison in the first place, and they should definitely be
She was a
sterilized if they're
school
allowed out.
teacher. Okay, so this is a story. I'm surprised I'm sure you've heard of this story. So this was a school teacher, and this was one of her students, and he was 12 years old, 1980 millennial. So listen
Oh,
to this. So and they were caught in a car, and the mom said, "Oh no, he stays with her because she's a good role model," which the mom thought. And
oh, good lord.
yeah, and then so they get caught, and because she's pregnant. And so here's what happened. This is it. This is what happens. Like, you can't write this shit. What happens is she goes to jail twice because they can't stay away from each other. She
Oh, good
just
lord.
died. She just died this year. She was in prison for a really long time. They had 2 kids together, and I think that only the last couple years of her life did they he filed, I think, for divorce, but I don't think he went through with it, and he stayed with her until her last breath. They actually did. It's not okay. This is
Wow.
completely not okay. He was in love with her. He was committed to her. They should have waited. It
What
shouldn't have
was
happened
this
like this. Huh?
Emmanuel Macron?
I'm sorry?
As it was this Emmanuel Macron?
I'm not getting it. I'm sorry.
Oh, the president of France was 14 when he met his
Oh.
39-year-old teacher, and she's now his wife.
No, let me show you this. Like, I'm shocked you know this because they made movies and shit on this. Mary Jo Letourneau, that was her name. That name doesn't sound familiar to you?
I just don't watch stuff like that. It
Well,
grosses
I
me
mean,
out. I
no, it
hate
was on
it.
the
Yeah.
news. Yeah, but it was huge on the news because they got caught
Gotcha.
twice. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh,
she got
yeah.
arrested twice, and every time she gave birth in prison, and the kid ended up coming out and being raised by him and his mother.
Oh my lord. Ew.
So somebody like that, see, and I wanted you to hear that because here's somebody. Listen, I'm not okay with what she did at all. That was a 12-year-old kid. If you really think you're in love that much, you got to step the fuck back and, I don't know, go seek therapy, but you don't act on it. Go
Yeah.
leave the state, whatever the fuck you got to do. And then if you can't get him out of your system in 8 years, then you could go and look him up when he's 20 years old if you want to. You know what I'm saying? Like if
Yeah.
that's how true the love is, then apparently it waited anyway. It waited
She
anyway because she was in prison and
she
he
needed to do
wasn't.
something, get some therapy, my god.
You know what I'm saying? But seriously,
Ugh.
they built a life for themselves and they had 2 kids together, and he really ended up being a good guy. And not that there was anything wrong with him at that age, but he was a tough guy who wanted to sleep with the teacher, and he did.
Ugh,
He
I just
actually fell in love with her as much as he could at that age in his mind at its you know what I mean? And she's in the meantime,
yeah,
she was
I don't know
married
what to
with
think
2
about
kids.
that.
She was married with 2 kids. At the
Yeah,
time, she was
and
married with
so is
children.
Brigitte Macron, yeah.
Yeah, and then she had 2 kids with him. So, by all accounts, do you think that she should have had yes, yes?
Yeah, yeah, I think she should not have been able to have kids. She
Yes.
was absolutely taking
Her kids
advantage
might
of
not
a
be happy
child.
about hearing that, but I understand completely. I
Yeah,
understand
most people
because
think of forced sterilization in terms of eugenics and, disabled people, and I think that's terrible, absolutely not, but only as a punishment for crimes against children and immediate family
you
members,
can't
yeah.
control yourself, man. If you can't control yourself with a
You gotta
12-year-old,
lose that.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and there were statements like, "Well, he came on to her." Well, I assume
Ugh,
he did.
doesn't
I
matter,
assume he
doesn't
did at
matter.
12 years old. He was a
Yeah,
boy trying to impress his friends. You know what I'm saying? But you
yeah, it
don't
was
give
on her
into
to be an
that at 12 years
adult
old. Exactly. It was exactly. I agree
and
with that.
shut down the child and say,
I
"No,
agree
that's
with that, and I have
inappropriate."
nothing against hers, and his kids. I have
Me
nothing.
neither, yeah,
But I wish them a very happy and healthy life. But
yeah,
yeah, so stuff like that happen. I agree with that. I agree with that, and I think that if we were a little bit more, not a little bit more, if we were much more strict when it came to, and this is something that Rebecca and I agreed on as well. I don't know how you feel about this, but do you think that there should be more of a uniformed punishment for things like Rebecca was talking about? I don't know, Toddy, how does one person get drug charges and they get 25 to 30 years, and then Chris unalives Corey? You see what I'm saying?
yes,
Like, Chris is a
yeah,
young enough guy that if he gets out, even in 20 years, he's still young enough where a guy, he can keep having kids, right? And he's got his whole life. And now Rebecca's saying, but Corey's life is over. Corey's life is over. And my life will never be the same. Brianna's life will never be the same. Their daughters, he has a sister now. His sister only knows him from going to a tombstone and sitting there, so
yeah,
like, so he should be fixed before he comes out. And first of all, I don't think he should come out. I mean, that's the thing. Like, that's what, and
well,
I
back
agree with her in the fact that how does one person selling drugs? Now, listen, I
I'm
understand
gonna
that.
lose the original question if I don't answer you, Toddy.
Okay, please
Sorry.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Um, yes, I do think things should absolutely be more uniform, and if it can't be federal, then at least within the same state. It's crazy. Another example of that is Gypsy Rose did 8.5 years in Chillicothe prison for murder, whereas Amber from Into the Weeds has a cousin doing 25 years from METH in the same prison, same
Yeah,
jurisdiction.
yeah. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Now, I but I was gonna say, and I appreciate that. I lose my thought too, and I'm famous
Yeah,
for that.
sorry. I
You
was
know
gonna
that.
lose
No,
my
no, no.
answer.
You're good. You're good. You're good. You're good. I get it. My thing with what Rebecca was saying, and she was saying, well, the drug dealer isn't really harming anybody. Well, later when I was editing the video, I said to myself, oh, that's not true because that's how Gino died and that's how Jen died. They
Yeah,
all died from, and those are 2 people. Then we got my friend Alyssa that died, and we can go on about the people that died from either
right.
overdose or fentanyl or what have you. And those are drug dealers. So they are, but it's not so much in the face, you know what I'm saying? And it's
Yeah.
also not that it's okay to buy drugs that will kill you. That's not okay. And it's not even okay to sit and say, well, they died. Oh well, that's the gamble they take doing drugs. That's not okay to have that attitude either.
Still,
Excuse
though,
me.
a drug dealer provides an option that could kill someone, and
Exactly.
a violent murderer doesn't give the victim a choice.
Exactly. Exactly. So I totally get. And look, that was a child. I mean, and that was his dad. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, so I I could totally get where that's not fair. And even with Amber and of course Gypsy, meth,
Mhm.
I mean, she was doing it, right?
Yeah, and I mean, Amber and, will say about her cousin, she needed to go to prison. She got her life together in there, got clean and everything. She needed the punishment. She was doing it and dealing. However, it's just crazy that she has 25 years in the same jurisdiction for that as Gypsy did for murdering
Eight
her
and a
mother.
half. Yeah,
8 and a
eight and a
half,
half.
yeah.
Yeah, and Gypsy's second degree, right? Gypsy's
Yeah,
second degree.
that was her plea and guilty to second degree
Yeah.
plea
Yeah, I
deal.
know. I know. I love it when Bree says, "And she spoke in Nick's trial. She didn't have to do that." Oh my god. But,
Yeah, like, what does that matter? She's
yeah, I think that Gypsy has gotten absolutely colder as far as, you would think if you got away. Well, O.J. Simpson kind of did the same thing. He pushed it
He
to the
wrote,
limit.
"If I did it."
But
Yeah.
not and he pushed it to the limit. He didn't behave that's why he kept getting in trouble with the law, and that Las Vegas
Mhm.
judge said, "Yeah, I've had enough of this bullshit."
Right.
And he made him pay for what the other judge in California failed him at. So, you see what I'm saying? Like, and you're not supposed to do that, but I totally think she did that. I think she
Yeah.
threw the book at him because she was like, "Man, you ain't ever gonna learn, and I think you killed your ex-wife." And the Ron Goldman. That's what I think happened there. But see, perfect prime examples of how things and how people are treated differently, because even if we get to before they get convicted, OJ Simpson had all the money to have, what they called the dream team,
Yeah, wasn't
and
it
then
Robert Kardashian and Johnny
Robert
Cochran and
Kardashian, and
Johnny Cochran?
Johnny Cochran. There was another one there, and there
I
was
was a
another
kid when
one
that went
there.
on, yeah.
Yeah, I was watching that, believe it or not, when I was in Hungary. That's how I know the
Oh,
year I
wow.
was in Hungary, because, it was on the trial. I would watch it in the morning as I was getting ready to start my day,
Mhm.
but so, I think that he really did after he got picked up in Vegas and left, all that bad behavior stopped. But that obviously, so he did time, and a lot of time, for stealing his stuff back or stealing, period. But Gypsy did eight
Yeah,
and a half years. Huh?
he still said some out of pocket stuff now and then, like, he started doing social media and yeah,
Absolutely. But
but he
he was
wasn't going in
doing
places and
crime.
robbing and
He,
acting crazy anymore.
exactly. Like he was still breaking the law like crazy. That's what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It wasn't that he wasn't
Yeah.
in the face of doing shit, because he wrote that book out of there. He wrote that book when he left prison.
Mhm.
I'm right. He wrote that book. Yeah,
I think
I'm pretty
so.
sure
Let
he
me
wrote
check
the
the
book
date.
when he left prison. Out after he might have even started writing it while he was in prison.
2006. Yeah, and it was postponed till 2007.
Because
I
the
think the
Goldman
Goldman
family,
yeah,
yep, they
the
stopped it.
judgments, the Goldman family got the
Right.
money, thank goodness.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another thing. It was supposed to be what I don't want to go there, but what do you think about the Son of Sam law? What happened to that? I know it was supposed to be carried out state by state, and I think that's
Mhm.
where we have a problem with
Well,
why
they
things
ran
aren't uniformed. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's why things aren't uniformed as far as
it
I think we should have the death penalty, and maybe there should be 3 ways of the execution. You know what I'm saying? That's what Rebecca and I were deciding on our little talk. It be it and here's what happens.
The
Well,
son of Sam oh, sorry, we had a bit of a
no,
lag
no,
there.
go ahead.
The son of Sam laws, apparently, I mean, they ran into issues with free speech because families and children of these people wanted to be able to talk about their stories and their upbringing, and so judges started striking it down
Melissa
because of
Moore.
freedom of speech. Melissa
Melissa
Moore and
Moore.
her ilk, yeah. It
Yeah.
had already happened in some states before her, but yeah, and while I do see some validity to that, at the same time, I think it shouldn't have been just struck down as a free for all like it is. I think there should have been, more careful structure put in place to still prevent people, even if they are family, from profiting off actual murder.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, so I I would like to test that argument, and here's where I want to test that argument. So my dad, as far as I know, he never unalived anybody. He wrote bad
Mhm.
checks. He was involved in I think forging bonds, bonds,
Uh-huh.
and they were bonds that back in the day they were government bonds. It's not like bonds that you would bail people out.
Right.
They were investment bonds more or
Yeah,
less,
that
and
you could
so
cash in for
right,
cash.
right. But there are some people that you say bonds and they go right to, "Oh, bonding people out, this isn't gonna make any
Yeah.
sense." It's not gonna make any sense if somebody thinks that way. So,
Gotcha.
back in the day, you could get bonds, and you could still get them today,
Yes.
uh, as investments. So, my dad, was with a team of people, and they forged them, and so I ended up in the witness protection program. Now, for me to tell my story of my growing up, the witness protection program is a big part of that story. I mean, that definitely is a huge part in the definition of who I am, in the
Mhm.
making of me, right? So, if I leave that part out of my story is not true and it won't make sense. If I include all of my story, then it is true to who I am, and it is about me, right? It's my legacy, it's my character, it's everything that either people are going to believe or not going to believe in my life experience. But in order for me to tell my story, I have to say my dad was a crook and I was in the witness protection program. So
Yeah. And that's
unfortunately, I'm
exactly
telling
why.
his story, but I can't, so there are things I do not know that I wouldn't even make believe to know. And I don't feel like I'm profiting off of his story.
And
I'm
that's
just
exactly
sharing.
why son of Sam laws were struck down for situations like
Right,
that.
exactly. So I do
And
understand that.
however, what you described there, no one violently lost their life in that situation.
Well, okay, so let's
And
go
it's
here. Yeah, let's
definitely
play that.
not with
Yeah,
you
but let's play
describing
that
your
out for a
experience in
second.
the witness protection program.
Absolutely, but let's play that out for a minute. So I knew somebody, she's no longer alive. I knew
Mhm.
somebody who was in the she died from cancer or some sort of illness. Her dad was mafioso, like big bad mafioso. And this was well after my dad cleaned up his life and stuff like that. But um this woman was a friend of mine. Now, she ended up thinking she was gay, and it was not okay with her family. As a matter of fact, the person that she was going out with, she had heard that if they ever found out that this woman was this young woman, she was like in her 20s, early 20s at the time. We were all kids, basically in our 20s. Um, she said that if my friend found out that if she was ever caught with this woman, they would literally cut her tongue out, and she knew that they meant business. So here's this. So, okay, so she had to be really careful. But in the meantime, her story, like now, so we know that the dad of this person who has passed away, we're going to call her Maria. Okay. So Maria's dad, we know, is mafiosa. totally mafioso. We know that according to myth or whatever, when you hear things about mafia, that you go, oh my God, he was in this crime, this crime, and this crime. But if
Yeah.
she just told her story about what it was like to grow up under the strict guidelines of having a dad, not talk about the crime, but just talk about it was impossible for me to grow up. I had no freedom. I wasn't encouraged to. It was all about, if it had anything to do with just her upbringing, and the way she brought up, without bringing into the crimes that her dad committed. What do you think about that? Because that would be her story, right? And it's still huge to her makeup.
Yeah, I haven't really, went fully down the road to work out exactly how I think that should work. On the Son of Sam laws. I don't know where the line should be. I don't think people should be able to publish things that would cause families of people who've been murdered to feel further victimized to a certain extent whenever they're, related to or involved with the murderer. However, like you said, her story is her story,
Right.
and
So how
I
about
do
this?
think she has a right to tell it. I it's not a
Right, so
thing
you're
that
not
I've went
glamorizing,
there.
so nobody's glamorizing the death. Now, Gypsy, who, I mean, she even admitted to the story was wrong because she didn't read it. She didn't proofread it, even though she Kindle
Yeah.
read it, Kindle readed it. Even though she Kindle read it. Okay, so here's, let me ask you this. What about if there was a law where anybody that wrote about a crime, even if it was just somebody that did the reporting and wrote about the crime, what if they were to give 50% after taxes, or before taxes, so that the 50% they paid taxes on, the 50% the wherever they donated pay taxes on? How would that, what do you think about something like that? This way it wouldn't be, well, is it okay for this person to write about it, but not this person to write about it? It would just be anybody, including me, including you, if you were to just write, a theory about what happened with Gypsy Rose Blanchard, or what do you think happened with Gypsy Rose Blanchard? We didn't have anything to do with the crime, but we would be making money off the crime. So what if just everybody that wrote about horrible crimes took 50% of that and it went towards helping victims? What about that?
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like it would be really messy to implement and possibly put a big damper on reporting, but it doesn't sound like a horrible. I mean, I don't always do 50% after the first check, but I that's basically what I do with my channel, donate big chunks of my check every time to the area that was affected by the crime.
No, I think that that's great. You just please talk to an accountant before you do that, because the taxes and
I
stuff.
have an accountant.
Okay. Okay, great. So I just think it would be better to blanket it more uniform. It, like, okay, if you're going to talk about the unaliving of this person, then you're going to make money off of that. So I know you did all this hard work, but still you wouldn't have had content without this happening. So why don't you donate 50% of that? It's kind of like telling people what to do with their money. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It is a dictatorship. And then where does that stop? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I
So
mean,
yeah, it does. It becomes very messy, because then where does that stop? What if somebody, yeah, that it
well,
can
and
go all.
somebody has to police the line of, if like
It's not just
what
that, but what if somebody, I'm sorry, but
they
it's
have
not
to
just that.
police
What
the
about,
line
like,
of
even the
what
pictures of Charles Manson that is on T-shirts? Like, how are they making money? It would have to go into even more things. Like, not only does
that's
it,
what I'm saying.
yeah,
Someone would have to
exactly.
police the line of what counted as does anything that mentions the crime fall under that, or just, strict reporting on the actual act, or, is it everything?
I thought that it was pretty clear, actually, to be honest with you, when they did the Son of Sam law, because I think that you can. So let's play this out. So Berkowitz, David Berkowitz, which the Son of Sam law was based on Son of Sam, right? So that's David Berkowitz, who was the guy from New York that in the movie, uh, the dog he the dog kept barking, and but when you hear his interview, he doesn't the dog kept him up, but the dog wasn't telling him anything. He didn't get messages from the dog like the movie made him say. This is what he says. Okay, so the Son of Sam law was based on him. Now, just so happens that I'm from Hollywood, Florida. So the next town over is a town called Hallandale. And lo and behold, his parents lived there. So David Berkowitz's parents lived in the town over from me. And that was a huge deal because that was at a time that we didn't have that guitar shaped hotel that I sent you the picture of.
Uh-huh.
Hollywood was sandwiched between Miami and Fort Lauderdale. And the only reason why Hollywood became on the map was because of an airport there that was actually in Hollywood, but they fought to get it called the Fort Lauderdale Airport, but they weren't able to. They had to call it the Hollywood Fort Lauderdale Airport. And that's the only reason why Hollywood was on the map at first. But this small town that at the time wasn't what it is today, we knew about that crime because not because of it being in New York, but because of his parents being just a mile away. So, you know, we saw on the news how people were flooded to their door and everything. So, if they now that they didn't know what their son was doing, an elderly couple living in Florida, he lived in New York. They didn't know what he was doing. So, I guess there's no book to tell. But what about people wanting to know, well, how did he grow up? How did he become that way? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It does become very murky, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, especially if you try to, blanket the whole thing. I think that's why they just decided, no, we have freedom of speech, just strike it all.
I don't think that the person that actually, I think it could be clear enough that the person that committed the crime shouldn't be doing it. How's that? That
I
should be
agree
fair
with
enough.
that for
I mean,
damn
that's
sure.
pretty simple. That's pretty fucking
Yeah.
simple there. You know what I mean? Like that should be something that's pretty damn simple. But But as
Definitely.
you know, they make more and more books. So, do you think so obviously you think that it should be a humane way
Oh,
to
yes.
castrate and to have tubes tied for. Now, tubes tied is can I know that tubes can be untied, so it would have to be more than that. I mean, that
I don't even know. It's
I know that
uh
a woman can have their tubes untied. That I know
yeah.
100%. So, I don't a full hysterectomy, I mean, I don't know if that would be it or if it would just be enough to have something removed or I I
Yeah, I'm not
I don't
sure.
yeah. So, like, do you feel that Aurora is in danger?
I don't think about that too much, to be honest. Like, it's I don't think that, Gypsy's conscientious or safe in what she has shown us with her, but I think that probably oddly what does actually protect her more is the fact that there are so many eyes on the situation. I
Yeah,
think that probably makes the Gyp a bit more careful than she might have been otherwise.
yeah, you've shared that with me. You've shared that with me. What do you think about this second baby in the works? Do you think that there is a baby already there from we've seen some pictures of her where she could look, I mean, it could pass as pregnant. No, yes, what are you feeling about that?
I'm not sure. It's really strange because they put that rumor into Chillicothe by telling a couple of people who told others. And they did that last time and it
I
was
remember you
real,
put a
but they
video
might
about that
have,
and said that,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and I was saying in my video, I don't know if it's real or if they were just trying to see who talks to who, because
Mhm.
they do little tests like that sometimes. And what was strange is last time only a couple of people specifically in the prison knew. This time it seems like everyone heard it.
So how do you take that?
Honestly, Gypsy is so unpredictable. I really am just waiting to see what happens next.
I get
Um,
it. I definitely get that. Totally
yeah,
understand that.
they're so unpredictable. Like, I just really I don't know how to predict her.
What do you think, let me ask you this, what do you think about the IVF? Do you think it's about the microdeletion or the fact that she wants to make sure she has a boy?
I don't think I've heard the clip of her talking about it, but I did hear that she had mentioned that they would probably do IVF. Honestly, I would think that that's probably just something she's saying to sound more responsible and will probably just be like, turn up pregnant again at some point and be like, oops, it was an accident.
I think that I think she wants a boy. I think that Ken has probably said, "Just 2. That's it, just 2, and I want a son." You know what I mean? And and by the way, you have a micro deletion. We shouldn't tell people that because it throws the Munchausen by proxy out. So let me ask you this, and I don't know if this is the platform that's appropriate for it or not. Is there anything that you look back on as far as, because now we have hindsight, we've gone over the Gypsy case and continue to because more and more stuff comes out. Is there anything that you reflect back on and say, "Oh shit, like maybe that is true. Maybe there's some truth to that."
um, I I wonder a lot about her story about her grandpa because it seemed like it come later on and out of nowhere and she lies so much. But his reaction to that was so weird that it just I don't know. I always wonder about that. And she she's such a weirdo with the way that she acts anyway. It's difficult to tell when she's lying or telling the truth about her trauma. As far as anything that well, honestly, the things that shocked me most that, like, turned out to definitely be true is I when we heard last year, I heard a rumor that Gypsy had been kind of, pen pal hooking for money in prison, and I was like, "Oh, good grief, that's just something crazy somebody's saying, there's no way, surely." But
Right.
no, she definitely was. $50 a week to call her goddess.
Oh my gosh. I mean, isn't that something? Like,
Yeah,
who
for
would
an
have
old
thought that? Who would have thought that?
yeah, very
What do you
odd.
is anything else about
That's
it?
really all I can think of. Like, I've been shocked over and over how many wild rumors proved true
Right?
about, the way she acted in prison and even a few things about the case. Like, before I started really diving in, I didn't realize quite how much prep and grooming she did.
You mean for Nick to Nick?
Yes. Yeah, to Nick, and then, with the house and everything, dryer sheets, powder, all that stuff.
Yeah, that was crazy. I don't understand that, just to have her found later, because her excuse for calling and reporting the crime was because she said she wanted her mom found.
You mean the Facebook post?
Yeah, what did I say? I'm sorry.
You
Hold on.
said calling and
Alexa,
reporting the
stop.
crime.
I'm sorry. What did I
You're
say?
good. You said calling and reporting the crime, yeah, but the
Well,
Facebook
yeah, the
post, yeah.
Facebook which reported the crime. Yes.
Yeah.
So, like, what do you think? I mean,
I
why?
think she had multiple plans, and she's so impulsive, she kept wrecking them. I think she had one plan initially, and that got kind of wrecked, and she ended up having to go back with Nick when she didn't originally plan to, and then when she got there, she had one plan, and then after a few days realized she really hated it and blew that up with a Facebook post, and then had another plan that she was gonna put it all on him, when she walked out saying, I'm okay," whenever the police arrested Nick, and
Right.
then said in the interrogation, "Well, he's in trouble. I don't know why I'm here." So she had another plan then that she was going to get it all on him and go back
Oh, I
home
think
or
that yeah,
to
no, I think that
Louisiana.
I absolutely think that she didn't count on the cops being able to. I don't think that she ever told Nick, "Hey, by the way, don't believe anything the police officers say to you." Had she have said that, I think everything would be different. But he was taught that, the police officers are there to help you, and if they ask you anything, you tell them the truth. And that's what he did.
Well, he
As soon as the cop said, "She told us everything, and if you want to honor her or, and do right by her," you see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, once he abandoned his
she
story, yeah.
didn't yeah, well, he abandoned the story when he thought she did.
Yeah, when the cop manipulated him, the
Yeah, yeah,
interrogator.
yeah. So and that was something that Gypsy didn't prepare him for.
Yeah.
So shame on her for that because that's what she's probably kicking herself in the ass for. But I just think that I I wonder about Aurora simply because Gypsy's the type of person that clearly wants attention and it doesn't matter in what shape it comes in. And sometimes attention can be legitimate Munchausen by proxy. Or, I mean, like,
According to the Feldmans, Munchausen by proxy doesn't have to include medical abuse. They diagnose it just when someone they think a mother wants attention. And, that could so easily be a hypochondriac mother or a mother with health anxiety. It's scary, but yeah, what you said is technically true.
well, we saw what Gypsy did when Ken was away on vacation. Like, she let that baby cry. She sat in front of a camera and did nothing but let the baby cry. She didn't even try to soothe the baby. All she did was play on his guilt that he was that's the way I saw that.
Wow. I don't guess I've seen that clip, but I've
Where the
seen her
baby's
video
crying and
before.
where the baby's crying and there's that picture of him and Gypsy and Ken behind her, and she's in the rocking chair and the baby has colic.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I thought you were talking about something recent, a new one. My bad. Yeah, I remember
No.
that one. Yeah, she just wanted attention for having a baby with colic, which is concerning.
Exactly, like, it's that was more important to her. So that's what I'm saying, instead of taking care of her child at that time and soothing her baby, what she was doing was seeking attention. I'm not
Turning
saying
on a
that's
camera.
Munchausen by proxy. I'm not saying that
No, I'm just
that's
saying the Feldmans
manipulate
might.
it's manipulative behavior for sure, and
Yeah.
and if you do that, when do you stop doing that? Like, at what point would you say, "Okay, that's something not good," like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, so that's where I have concerns about Gypsy, and not concerns about her, but, concerns about the baby?
Yeah.
Well, if, I'm ready to stop this, to be honest. I mean, I only wanted an hour of your time, and I think we pretty much covered it. I'm happy with this. Is there anything you would like to add?
Good to
All
talk
right.
to you.
Thanks a lot. It was great talking to you, and thank you for the picture of you. You looked beautiful in
Oh, thank
Tulsa.
you.
Seeing where'd you stay?
We stayed at a haunted hotel. It's called the Skirvin. The Hilton runs it right now.
Is it haunted all the time?
It's supposed to have an amorous ghost that preys on the male guest.
'Cause I kicked that ghost ass. All right, my friend. Well, thank you for your time. And again, tell him I said hello, and huge thanks here. Well, guys, I hope that you got some food for thought, given some thought to about what's going on. Tell me in the comments what you think. And guys, thank you as always for the love and support that you've given this channel. I so appreciate it. I know Gypsy Rose seems to follow us wherever we go. This channel is not going to be really about Gypsy Rose, but there's going to be topics that have to do with her, right? So, all right, guys, I really appreciate you so much. And listen, if you're going to go ahead and feel passionate about something, you got to stand up. But more important, you have to have a good argument. I'm going to go ahead and put my avatar on as well.